Top of the afternoon, evening, folks. It's Captain Liam here. I hope you're all well. We're just going live today to check in with everyone and also talk about financial health. Hoping to have maybe Captain Scott join us or Charles join us, depends on where they are. But the importance of the Tuesday check-in is just to turn around and make sure everyone's okay. Look around you, ask the people. And sometimes we all need help. We all need help to reach out and find a support group that works for us. And we're very blessed and going to have that group. Talking about a wonderful person. Hello, Captain Scott. How are you?
How you doing, Captain Liam? All good, man. Lovely
Fantastic.
to be here.
You
Lovely
got
to
through.
be.
You got through New Year's, okay?
Yeah, we're still going strong. We got six days left. So
Oh wow, busy. And where are you now? St. Kitts, is it or?
no, Montserrat. We just got here this morning. Couple of days, then Guadeloupe. If the weather holds, we'll go up to Barbuda and then drop off in Antigua.
Fantastic. And how's it all with the Venezuelan movement at the moment? Are you feeling any effect
Uh,
on that?
for us, some of the ships, some of the supply stuff, the chain has been disrupted a little bit. I
Oh,
know my wife was telling me that some of her clients in the BVI had a little bit of an issue with they were due to fly out the day after, and they had some issues there with the place just being ram-packed with people because everyone was delayed. But I think it's kind of straightened out now. A friend of mine in aviation told me it's usually like with a big weather shutdown, it's usually 48 to 72 hours before they're back up and even keeled again. But this might be, probably 72 hours, and I think we're past that already. So, but we'll see. I mean, that's could be one of many. Who knows?
yeah,
Not my,
absolutely. Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely turmoil. We won't get into politics and all that now. This is
No,
about checking in
no.
Tuesday. Hey, Charles, how are you?
Good morning, gents.
I think you've won the backdrop of the week.
Yeah. Nice,
This is my new home
Where are you?
nice.
in Mount Helix, California.
Mount
Oh,
Helix.
Yeah,
Wow, never been there. That's cool. It looks fantastic.
yeah, it's about 40 miles east of Shelter Island Marina.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I know exactly. I know where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, close to Alcohol, up in the mountains, and it's
Yeah,
beautiful and peaceful and a little bit chilly, but it's great.
oh,
yeah, I know
lovely.
where.
And is that
Yeah,
where you're
El
going to
Cajon.
base yourself from, Charles, or
Say again.
is that where you're going to base yourself from?
This is our new home. We just signed a lease for the next year, and
Nice.
Wow.
yeah, this is where wifey and I know, or this is what we call home.
Okay, well, when it gets
Nice,
too
nice.
wet and cold in Seattle, I'm going to come down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think when the hurricane season comes, I'm heading over there.
please do. And I just finished over the weekend building this deck, and
Oh, nice,
we are ready for a braai.
nice.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Oh,
Oh
beautiful
man.
part of the
pretty
world.
pretty good spot. Very blessed.
Well, it's
Oh,
good to
very.
see you reap some rewards of all your hard work, Charles. So,
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. Well, first, I just wanted to say one thing, man. Proud of you, man. That you're stepped off and going for it, man. Whatever you need, man. We're right here, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate you two a lot in this because I know there's a lot of support and it feels a bit odd. Today's my first day not on vacation, and I woke up thinking, oh, I got to fill the fresh water tanks or I got to do my monthlies.
yeah.
And, and then I'm like, actually, no, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you got to keep your
Yeah.
bank account going up and not down. That's enough of a
yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I took a lovely break, and I'm got to spend my first Christmas in 7 years on land, and
Nice.
got to spend the New Year's Eve without running around like a headless chicken,
Oh,
Nice.
for other people. So I feel so recharged and ready, and super excited for 2026.
well, a lot of things
Perfect.
look like they're happening and aligning for you, which is great. But I also just want to take a quick moment to make sure we are checking in with the people around us. It's the purpose of Check-in Tuesdays. I had another crew member reach out to me this week in tears. She had an incident with a captain who refused to give her a reference.
Oh
So
man.
I really just want to say out there, keep reaching out, people, to myself, Captain Scott, Charles, anyone. Reach
Yeah.
out to anyone for any issue, because it's not worth keeping these problems inside.
Yeah.
And then we can find solutions together as a community, as an industry. That's the purpose of Check-in Tuesday. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's
um,
always options. There's always options.
yeah, and it wasn't right, this captain, what he did to her, and she was just trying to move and progress in her career, but that was a restriction he kind of put on her. But anyway, today's also about positivity as we go into 2026 and financial success. And I'm going to jump on your bandwagon here, Charles, because 0 to 500,000. I was rubbing it into my kids today, saying, "See,
Yeah, you can do it.
you can do it."
Look, I was pretty I was a bit like hesitant to share that with people because it's it can go two ways if you look at it negatively. So people
Yes.
can either you can immediately open yourself up to become a piggy bank,
Yeah.
which funnily enough, two people I haven't heard from in years suddenly need money or a loan for something.
Yeah.
Um, and then on the other side, it can come off as a bit arrogant and cocky, but that's not the point. The point is, like, I did nothing special. There's no magic secrets. I'm not smarter than anyone else. It's just sticking to basics, formulating a plan, and then staying disciplined enough to execute on that plan. And I think in this world we live in where everything is so transient and and you only have people's attention for a few seconds scrolling
Yeah.
down on their phones, um, it's important to kind of hook them with something real and to use yourself as social proof. And if someone had told me 7 years ago when I left my little hometown in South Africa that I would be sitting here right now in the position that I am, it would sound pretty surreal. And now that
Yeah.
it's up and it's like, okay, it also wasn't that hard. You just had
Hmm.
to sacrifice the what everyone else is portraying as normal.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I hope that inspires yachties listening to this that it's very possible and really like there's no secrets and no one needs to gatekeep anything anymore.
Hmm.
But yachting is such a fantastic industry, and not only do we get to travel, we also get paid well. So you might as well
Mm.
put that money to good use and set yourself up for a happy financial future.
Yeah, it's important. We got a comment here from Sports to Go. Setting financial goals to build a foundation for your family is critical. The deck is beautiful. Congratulations, Charles. But
Yeah.
and thanks for that comment. And anyone, please add comments, and Charles can give information. This is an open format. But from a captain's perspective, the reason I'm excited about financial, wealth and health is a motivating factor for success. And if Captain Scott and I and other industry leaders can help crew build their financial success, we can have a more wholesome industry and a healthier industry. Do you
Mhm.
have do you find that as well, Captain Scott, that with your crew and people in the industry that you see they're starting to lean towards more financial goals?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, society in general, is just that, financial literacy has been so, and Charles and I have talked about this extensively before, just financial literacy. The more I learn about it, the more I need to know, and the more I realize that a lot of people don't know this. It might be commonplace to me, but it's not really commonplace to them, and a lot of people don't grow up with it. They don't learn it in school. It's not, people don't learn things with like budgeting and stuff, and it's hard to learn budgeting on yachts and stuff when some of these boats are open checkbook. You just spend, if you need it you get it, and that kind of thing. So it can kind of be difficult, especially when you get some young kid that all of a sudden making $4, 5, 6 thousand dollars a month, plus they get a $8,000 charter tip in cash in their hand, and they haven't really discuss those things. But I always try to offer guidance. But I see a lot of people asking more questions, which I think is great.
I agree, actually, I do. And one of your first, we've got some points here to go over, Charles, which I'm really grateful you gave us here, some of the pillars. You said start investing early, even with $100 per month to flex those muscles. You mean to train the mind and train the muscles, correct?
Yeah, so the one of the biggest myths and misconceptions in yachting, well, in investing in general, is that you need a lot of money to get started.
Yeah.
This is purely based off the way our parents had to do it. Our parents, it was very difficult back in the day to actually buy a stock. You had to call a broker. The broker had to communicate with someone on Wall Street. They had certain barriers to entry, like you needed $1,000 to be able to partake. So the hurdles were a lot higher. Whereas now, you can download an app that works. Even some of them are social, like eToro and apps like that are all social driven apps where you get through your verification procedure, you link your bank account, and you can literally invest $1 if you want to. It's called fractional share investing. And it's really opened up the opportunities for laymen's to get involved in the markets. And I think it's really important to start with smaller amounts because some people, their risk appetites aren't necessarily like Scott and I, where we know, okay, we've done our due diligence, so we're fine putting skin in the game and putting risk out there. But some people might feel like, okay, let me just see how it goes with this first $100. And if you can do it with $100, you can do it with $100,000. So that's what I meant on pillar number one.
Yeah, but where do you start? I mean, you hear about cryptocurrency, you hear about stocks and bonds, and in the end, people just keep their money a little bit as cash. Is that a form of investment, though? When people just
Okay,
keep, instead of investing, keep the cash as cash.
so before we get into the nuts and bolts of things, everyone, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing,
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Ain't right
nothing, not.
either.
I'm Scott and Liam, and we
Okay.
are
Give me your
we.
money if you want, though. By all means.
Give till it hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
Every like I can just speak of my personal experience. So with the formalities out of the way, if I had to get started, let's take an arbitrary number like $100.
Hmm.
There's so many asset classes, and people suffer from analysis paralysis because there's so much stuff going out there.
Good point.
Number one, cash is not an investment. Cash is forms as part of an asset class, but you're not investing your cash. It's not You're not going to get returns on your cash unless it's sitting in a savings account. But for all intents and purposes, cash, you will be losing value because of that thing we call inflation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the way the world economy is structured, there is absolutely there's no policing happening on the amount of money that governments can print. So inflation will not be going away. Your
No.
Yeah.
$100 today is not going to be worth $100 in 10 years' time. And for that reason, you need to convert your cash into income generating assets such as stocks or indexes or property or cryptocurrency, which you connect risk with return by doing that. If I had to have $100 right now and I wanted to start, the best way to do it is into something called a low cost index fund, in my
Okay.
opinion. And a low cost index fund, all it is, it's a basket that takes a bunch of different stocks and you can buy it under one wrapper. And it's basically remove the need for you to be a stock picking genius and going through a bunch of individual stocks. You can buy one index that tracks, let's say, the top 500 companies in the US, for example, which gives you diversification and it also gives you simplicity.
Excellent advice. And you, Captain Scott, when you're more in the real estate, you've kind of associated yourself with more of a real estate investing options. Is that something you kind of save towards and then invest?
Yeah, yes, but like to Charles' point, there are things that you can get into, like a REITs that and index funds that are based on real estate that you can start with as little as $100. I mean, when I started, one of the things that affected me the most was a friend of mine that was a financial advisor. He said, regardless of what you're doing, make make sure that you have a time and a purpose with the money. So if it's your retirement money, the purpose is retirement, and the time is probably 30 years or 20 years or whatever you're thinking about. Or if this is hey, this is my house money, I'm going to put to aside $200 a month or $300 a month or something like that. So you can start by buying into these REITs and other real estate stuff that people don't really know about so much, because they just, it's not common knowledge that you can put $100 or $500. And when I started my retirement plan, I did the same thing. I just kind of put it in. It was kind of like Charles was talking about, a little bit every month, and then it got more and more as my salary increased, and I'm still doing that today until I retire. And there's once you have that built up over time, then you have a lot more options. You can think about diversification, but build one thing first. And I'd always recommend that you have that, for yachts, you have that 6 months of land-based bills, just as your liquid fund that you put aside. So if you get fired, or the boat sells, or the owner decides not to have the boat anymore, or what have you, you can go and sit for a minute and figure out what your next move is.
Yeah, because that creates a very stressful environment if you don't have
Oh
that
yeah.
savings and backup, and that's where your mental health and physical health take a toll. We've got a question here from Prestige, and hello, Susan Porter. Hello, wonderful to see you again. And this is from Prestige Yachts Daily. What are your thoughts on dollar coin averaging each month into cryptocurrencies, into typical narrative, IG, real world assets, etc.? Or do you go more safe stocks? Once again, no financial advice, just three gentlemen talking, checking
That's
in with each other. More importantly,
that,
checking in. Charles has had a huge milestone in his life. Captain Scott's busy on charter. I'm making my way back to wet, cold Seattle, so I'm trying to get as much kind of positive palm trees, pink shirt vibes before I head back to work. But what are your? Is that more of a cryptocurrency conversation there, Captain Scott or Charles?
I think so. I'm not,
yeah.
I have some, but I don't. I should probably check and see what it's doing, because I kind of haven't really kept up with it. It's not really, it was something kind of a shiny object syndrome that I went through at one point that I probably should have done a little more due diligence with. But that's for the crypto guys to. But if
Yeah.
you are doing it, do the same thing. Dollar cost averaging works in any asset.
I agree with that. I That's a good question. It's normally the cryptocurrency one is always it's always a bit of a different topic to discuss, because the people that are investing religiously in cryptocurrency fundamentally believe that the traditional financial system has failed.
Mm.
So they they pretty much normally go all in on crypto,
Hmm.
whereas the research I've done, I've spent about 800 hours in researching Bitcoin alone as an asset class, because I was so fascinated with the new technology. And my conclusion for my personal risk appetite and portfolio is that if you dollar cost average, my personal risk preference is around 20% of my liquid net holdings. So that's just a fancy way of saying if I have $1,000 of stocks, I'm comfortable in having $200 worth of Bitcoin,
Mm.
because that amount, even if the asset class goes to zero, it's not enough to completely ruin me and put myself and my family out at street, but it is enough to have. I dipped my toes in just enough to get exposure on the upside. And I started investing in cryptocurrencies in 2020 during COVID,
Yeah.
and it has astronomical returns. I mean,
Yeah.
it's performed better than any asset class. The issue is it's it's a very volatile asset. It goes up and down like a roller coaster. And the best way I found to mitigate it is by completely deleting the price out of my life. So I don't see the price on any of my apps. I don't look at the price of Bitcoin, but in the background, at the beginning of each month, a few $100s are going out and it's purchasing. And over the long term, that dollar cost averaging strategy has worked for me really well.
Oh, very good
Mm.
advice. And that's basically diversified portfolios, correct?
Hmm.
That's what we're talking about when you talk about having 20% of that of your asset class in a
Correct.
risk adverse or risk concerning asset. So it's important that I think we talk about the different types of asset classes, and definitely real estate is one. We're talking about cryptocurrency is another one, stocks, bonds. What is another form of asset class that you two have both kind of seen in your experience?
Well, you have the commodities and stuff like that, those can be a little more volatile, you're talking about, but gold is pretty stable, but when you have commodities, you're talking about grains, futures for like oil and gas, things like that. And a lot of people do very well with that, but like anything else, you have to do your due diligence and learn that stuff. And people study those things for decades sometimes, and so a lot of them still get it wrong too. So it can be a pretty tough market to do very well at. But the more knowledge the better you're going to get at it. But like Charles was saying, start small. Just see what fits your risk appetite. You might be a little more risky. Maybe put 50% of your money into Bitcoin or whatever,
Mm.
or you may just put 10. Or me, I probably a lot less than that. I probably need to go and sell whatever it is I bought at that time, but I'm nothing against cryptocurrency or whatever, but I compare it to because I worked in the tech field, the .com bust. There was
Yeah.
thousands of .coms in the late '90s, and most all of them went away. So I think you're going to see the same thing with most of the cryptocurrencies. They're going to go away. There'll be a few they'll stand the test of time, like any other asset class. You're going to see some that are going to be very strong and stay in it, but others are probably phase out.
Yeah, so a
Yeah.
couple of takeaways early in the conversation. We talk about just put something away, minimum investing, like $100, and then diversify if you have that time, and look for different asset class that suit your risk analysis. We've got Tua Pesca joined 2025. One, I think he's from Mexico, Sia Cortez, a spear fisherman there. And then we've got the yachting investor. I think, Charles, you just sent a link to one of your playbooks, correct?
So that is actually the link to the Yachty Money School. So that
Okay.
is that's where courses. I just dropped that mid conversation because to a lot of people this might be overwhelming knowledge and information, and it's a lot of jabbering. But in there, I've basically built a course platform where you can on your own time go through what I see the fundamentals. So number one, I call it the Yacht Crew Money Manual. And all that is, it's 7 steps, what I call my 7 financial SOPs, starting from setting goals, eliminating debt, taking advantage of tax advantage investment vehicles, and then diversifying into different things like stocks, property, etc.
Yeah.
There's also a brilliant course built by a Kiwi yachty named Alex Kempen. Shout out Alex. He built a course called Investing 101, which is an intro to the stock market. And
Okay.
I initially wanted to build my own course. I did his. I'm like, I can't do any better than that. It's perfect. He uses a lot of seafarer and yachty analogies to explain the stock market, and it's just so well put out to show people that it's not as complex as you think. We watch
Yeah,
these movies like Wolf of Wall Street or whatever, and they say all these crazy words on the phone.
yeah, yeah,
You don't need to know any of that.
Yeah.
In essence, all you're doing in the stock market is you are betting on a company, and you are betting a small amount of your capital to take a small amount of ownership in that
Yeah.
company. We all three of us right now are most likely looking at our iPhones while we are recording this podcast, correct?
hmm
So Apple creates podcasts. After this conversation, I will be replying on some emails on my Mac. I love the technology. I love how easy the user interface is. That's all I need to know to invest in the company.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of time people overcomplicate things. It's like if you know your child loves Disney movies and you've been to Disneyland and you think it's sick, buy Disney stock. It's a
yeah,
Yeah.
successful company. So
yeah.
once again, not financial advice, but since I started dumbing down things a little bit for myself, I'm like, if I enjoy it, the odds that a high percentage of the human race also enjoys it, then that's more than enough for me. I'm going to invest in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good sound advice. I see Quanticaster Realty from Costa Rica just joined, and that talks about a whole nother asset class, which is kind of more passionate style investing, which is property and your own
Yeah.
personal property or an investment property. So it's good advice. And Charles, if you could put that gentleman's in the comments, his name or handle, because I'd love to see it. Investing 101. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
New
Okay.
Zealander, I think I could work through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
No,
That's really great. Yeah, I've been through Charles' courses and stuff. They're really good, and I've actually since started inspired me to start a real estate course and a personal branding course, which I think is really helpful for a lot of yachties and stuff, and just people in general. Just I've done the same thing like what Charles is talking about. Just simplify it. Just make
Mhm.
it easy for people to say, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just start
yeah.
with one property, buy something, buy anything. It doesn't, as long as it's going to cash flow, buy it. That's it. It doesn't need to be anything more. Don't think you're gonna kill the market with the first stock you buy, or buy some house that's going to go to $10 million or anything like the first time, because you probably won't. You're probably going to make some mistakes, probably going to lose some money, but the next second or third or fourth stock or fifth or sixth house that you buy or property you buy, you're probably going to do pretty well.
Yeah, good advice actually. And for me, I'll be vulnerable. My scenario is that I left home at 18 and went to work, and then I was always property, property, property. And I bought and sold, and every 5, 6 years, and got better and better. And each time I'm like, why am I buying and selling? Shouldn't I be
Yeah,
buying and holding?
yeah,
So over the years, I've seen that plus diversify with stocks and bonds and tried crypto. But for me, I obviously prioritize my family and their experiences in life
yeah.
over my financial success. And that's a
Same.
hard thing to say and be
Yeah.
vulnerable, but
Yeah,
that's just me personally how I've felt. Like right now with my kids ATVing in the beach in Las Terrenas, and I'm like, I wish I could have saved some more money for different
well,
investment
yeah,
class. So it's
yeah,
a
but
trade off. And I want people to realize that even what you're saying, Charles, it's usually successful. Have that balance in life. And that's, I think, in the most important lesson from all this is that balance is important. Don't go to one extreme and spend it all on extreme sports or lifestyle,
yeah.
and don't have to feel like you're pressured to save it all, you know?
It's yeah, that's it's funny because I've always done the same thing. I always did made the decision that was better for the family, took the job that potentially was probably made less, or I was going to be around more because my kids were small,
Yeah.
and always bet on experiences because I wanted my kids to be able to go and have those experiences and do things, because you can't take it with you, and what am I going to do with a big, sit on the top big pile of money or whatever. It's great. It's great to have it as the security and stuff, but the experiences that your kids have or whatever, that you can't. There's no dollar amount that beats that.
Even yourself. I mean, Charles, there's a question here for you from, cool. Aura Flow Yoga. Awesome. Anyway, just quickly though, we're going into the next point, which is commit to investment ratio. So let's answer that question, Charles, and then talk about the ratio. Because that's what Scott and I talk about, that balance. We've both got young kids that are growing up now, so our investments are changing. But what's your take on it all, Charles?
So before I jump into ratio, I'm really glad you brought up the point about balance, and that, what's the point? What's the point of having all these zeros in your bank account, but you have no memories or experiences?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's something I sometimes struggle to relay because I'm so laser focused on trying to get this message across of put your money to use. I sometimes run the risk of seeming like a complete drag and a miser and that I don't do fun. That's not true.
I didn't say
I
that. I
I
didn't
know.
say that.
I know, mate. I know, mate. I know what you meant. Um,
Joking.
um, no, so I actually I do really cool shit all the time.
Yeah.
So what the difference is, I am extremely aware of what gives me value and what doesn't. And I think that's where yachties get it wrong. If you, as Liam, enjoy ATVing with your family, or you as Scott, if you enjoy going on let's say, lavish vacations with your daughters. Okay, awesome. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, per se. You then can't, when you go back to work, every night in West Palm Beach, go out for a fancy steak dinner and then buy the new season's Rolex every time. So one of my favorite concepts in personal finance is coined by a guy called Ramit Sethi, and he wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And he hammers this point across. He says, in personal finance, identify areas that give you value and spend extravagantly on that, but identify stuff you don't care about and cut mercilessly on that. Me, I love the mountains, I love camping, I love off-roading. I spend a disgusting amount of money every month on these adventures, but I don't value fancy food or designer clothes at all. So you won't see me drop a penny on any of those. I'll eat oats 3 times a day as long as I have sustenance.
Yeah.
So that's a really important point to bring up because, you know, we can die tomorrow and I want to have the memories, but you can also become 110 years old and I don't want to be a poor for the last 40 of those years. Okay, so that's just the caveat. Then on the ratio thing, I think I can't read the question here, but if it's a technical question on ratio, as in, do they
No,
mean
it's what it says. When you invest, do you have a financial advisor or do you do this yourself? And ratio is just the second pillar.
Interesting. So, okay, I started my investing journey with a financial advisor. My first year of yachting in 2019. At that point, it was very difficult for a South African passport holder to invest without using a broker. So that was the main reason I contracted a financial advisor. Then, and I'm still good friends with this guy, and there's a very high likelihood he's on this live right now.
Nice.
But I I realized that to me, as someone with a keen interest in personal finance, I can't really justify the fees I'm paying him. And very frequently, financial advisors fail to beat the market. And what that means, the market is what we call the S&P or the US stock market's performance, which on average returns between 8 to 10% per annum. And very few financial advisors over the long term outperform the market. So I can't really see the need to pay them for underperformance. But there's a place for them in the world because not everyone is disciplined. Some people need to have someone breathing down their neck saying, hey, you haven't contributed this month. Like, let's get involved. Send me the money to deploy. My personal preference, I don't need one. And that's why I'm trying to build educational tools for people that think that they don't need one either.
Yeah. Well, it's developing, I think, also, you know, like Captain Scott, the more you practice, the more you go through that phase. It's like, talk about, you know, social media. A year and a half ago, I hadn't posted anything on Facebook even. And now I'm learning it through repetition, through repetition. That's flexing your muscle.
Yeah.
But what
Most
about that
definitely.
ratio side of things? You
Okay.
80/20 is something that you've kind of associated with to get your financial success.
So once again, personal finance is personal. This will be different for everyone, but my personal risk preference at the moment, if we take 100% pie, I sit at about 60% stocks or ETFs, so equity derived assets. I sit on about 25% real estate, and then I sit on 50% cryptocurrency. I exclude cash from this pie because, once again, I don't see cash as an investment. That falls under a different bracket, which I call my emergency fund or my home basics. And especially now being unemployed, I have a pretty healthy cash buffer at the moment. Shout out to my boss who gave me a very nice exit bonus. You legend.
Nice.
And that to me is a very nice risk preference because 60% of equities means there's a lot of money working in the stock market and is dependent on other businesses. The
Yeah.
25% I have in real estate gives me that physical. I can see my properties in South Africa. I know
Yeah.
that they they can't go to zero overnight unless something catastrophic happens. And I like real estate too because it's leverageable. So
Hmm.
I can buy $100,000 property by only using $20,000 of my cash and then mortgage the rest.
Yeah.
So that's why I think property is important. And then the crypto, the 15% is in there because we all have a little bit of a degenerate in us and a gambler. And that's the exciting part of my portfolio where I'm like, okay, you know, that might make me a millionaire a lot faster, but
Yeah.
it can also go to zero. And because it's only 15%, it's not the end of the world.
Understood. And yours, Captain Scott, you've kind of more gone down the path of commercial real estate, is it?
Yeah, it's mostly commercial real estate, but I do have my retirement. That's probably about 20-30%, and then probably 50% of what I have is probably real estate, and then some cash, some stocks and bonds. But my retirement is majority stocks and bonds. It's actually tech funds and stuff like that because just because I like just from the tech world, like Charles was saying, I like the Amazons and I've used them all the time. So why not invest in them? It's a great point, and then, Alibaba, and there's a few other in the index fund that I invest in, and it's done pretty well over time. But like the point that Charles was making, it's very it's personal, and like we're all at different age groups also. Like as you get closer to retirement, you get a little more risk averse and stuff like that, and you want to change it up to where you're more in a like a capital preservation mode. But again, that's also your personal preference where your family is. I've also have two kids in college, so what's mine is theirs. So,
Yeah. There is nothing that's yours, Scott.
no,
Please,
no,
I
I
keep
don't.
reminding you, there's
I
nothing
got
yours.
this shirt's not even mine. It belongs to the boat.
Exactly. Exactly. And that brings, and that was Cass from Aura Flow Yoga. And Cass is a wonderful person that kind of teaches, that has some great programs of yoga, and also is starting to sell some more equipment to yachts. So we're looking at getting some personal branding for some of the equipment she sells. So good
Oh,
question,
nice.
Cass. But your next one goes into the shirt exactly, Charles. The next pillar you talk about, whereas it's kind of more about know your level in life or know your spending bracket. And we talk about shirts. And this is a great shirt, but I did get it on special, or my
Hmm.
wife got it on special at Ross or one of those shops. So it kind of explains more about that because we see so many young crew, and I had an example of two recently, about 8 months ago, that they got a great tip. It was a big charter. They got a
Yeah,
great tip, and I was like, do not spend the money. Wait a month. At least wait a month, guys. Send
yeah.
home within hours off the boat to the
Casino.
stores, Nike bags, watch. And I'm just like, oh no! But they're
Yeah.
happy. There's no judgment. They're beautiful men.
Yeah,
So they're happy, and that's what we talk about sex. But what do you mean? You see a lot of yacht crew kind of trying to match where they are. Like they're in
yeah.
Saint
Hmm.
Tropez, so they want to be sitting in a cafe, or they're with
Yeah.
Hmm.
wealthy owners, so they want to wear those style of clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely the most prominent. This was the spark of why I created the Yachting Investor because you know how hard it is to do a week or a 2 week charter. Like you work your fingers to the bone, you don't sleep. It's rough, and then you make a big windfall, a big lump wad of cash. A South African 19-year-old deckhand, it's probably the most money he's ever seen in his whole life, and now it's his.
Yeah.
And and because we get exposed to high net worth individuals, we are victims of something called lifestyle creep.
Hmm.
And
Sorry, what was
lifestyle
that, Charles? Lifestyle
Lifestyle creep.
creep
creep. Okay, okay.
creep. So your lifestyle creeps up, or what you are exposed to in your environment creeps up on you, and suddenly you justify certain purchases. So let's
Mm,
use your two lads on the boat as an example. These charter guests you had on were no doubt wealthy people,
mm.
and the boys were aware of the fact that they probably spent $200,000 to $300,000 for that week, and then they also get the caviar, they fly in a seaplane, whatever these people do, and now that you get your meager sum of money of a few grand, you now justify being able to buy the Louis Vuitton purse.
Hmm.
But people struggle to understand the law of large numbers. This, the 200 or 300 grand that this person spent on that week is probably not even a percentage point of his or her net worth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas this 7 or 8 grand tip you just got, that's probably most of the money you now have in your bank
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, true.
So, so it's all about relativity. I can't bash my boss for spending $1 million on fireworks for his personal New Year's performance, because he's got a few more billion in the bank that can fill up that void again. And the way I help crew in my coaching program to deal with these type of large sums of money, I call it my 3 bucket system. So to make the math easy, let's say we got a 3 grand tip after a week of charter. The 3 bucket system works as follows. You divide $1,000 into immediate gratification. Okay. So if you do have that burning desire in you to go to the casino or to buy that designer pair of sneakers you've been having your eyes on, you know what? Just do it. You worked hard, like buy it and settle that inner devil inside of you.
Yeah.
The second bucket is what I call your future fund. So that either goes to education, where if you want to do courses in yachting or you've been looking at doing Scott's personal branding course, put something towards self development or into a cash buffer, like extra cash in your savings account or extra cash in your checking account. Then the third bucket should go work for you while you sleep. That's
Yeah.
your passive income bucket. So that goes into investing into ETFs or putting a deposit down on a property. And the 3 bucket system does 3 things. It sorts out the inner devil, it works towards your immediate goals, and it also puts cash aside for your future goals. And
Understood.
Hmm.
I've been following that strategy for 5 years, and it's done amazing, because if you just decide to put all your tips into income generating assets, you're never treating yourself, and then you don't really feel the pat on your back after working hard on a charter. But if you're only going to be pissing away all your money the whole time into buying fancy stuff, then you're also not really feeding future you. So that
True.
works for me.
Yeah, and Susan Porter's got another question here about, and great advice there. Susan Porter does anyone follow precious metals, gold, silver at all?
Yeah.
Maybe Scott can answer that. But just on my take, I think it goes down to the reason we're talking about this crew health. For me, it's because of crew wealth, sorry, is because of crew health. I really want crew to have
Hmm.
a balanced understanding of their work environment, and looking after their finances is a part of that. But I also understand that it's really unique yachting because we don't have rent, we don't have taxes on, we don't have expenses like food and groceries, and so it is real. And I can't say this any louder, crew. You need to listen to Charles and Captain Scott, because they're giving you the key to the ticket here of doubling your value while you work. Does that make sense? Because you're getting all
Mm-hmm.
this income without the natural expenses of living ashore.
Hmm.
So while you're working and sacrificing your time from your family, use that money twice as hard, and that'll set you up in life. But have you got any advice on precious metals for Susan Porter there, either of you, or Captain Scott?
Uh, yeah,
Gold, silver?
it's another asset class. The thing you need to keep in mind with precious metals and stuff is it is a good hedge against inflation, but it doesn't cash flow. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Ah,
It just appreciates or depreciates like another asset class, and you're probably not going to get any dividends from it unless it's a gold mine or something like that's actually producing the gold and is probably a profitable business. But and that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother business rather than the actual physical gold. It's a good thing to have in your back pocket as well, another pocket to put money into, like Bitcoin or like investing into real estate or something like that. But just keep in mind that it doesn't produce any cash flow. It does. It is a good hedge against inflation, because if you look at the track of between both of the money supply and gold, it goes up pretty well congruently, and you do hedge against inflation very well with that.
Yeah, and that's where I think a good financial advisor as well, Charles, and you had a good take on being your own financial advisor, and that's good advice, and people need to learn as much as they can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's what financial advisors are for, is to help you get that balanced kind of asset class to work towards your goals. But like gold was just recently, I'm not sure now, it just went through the roof.
yeah,
But,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
for
and
20
that's
years it didn't change. It's like,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's an important point, and it wraps in nicely to a point both of you made earlier about we also have different investing styles and strategies for different phases of our life.
yeah,
So gold, I would incorporate precious metals and gold and inflation hedging assets, like Scott just mentioned, a lot more when I'm approaching my 50s and 60s, because now I
Hmm.
want to start protecting my wealth.
mm,
But where I'm now in my late 20s, I'm still very much in the accumulation phase.
mm,
And because gold isn't going to cash flow for me or necessarily spike and grow, it's more it's not going to serve me personally right now.
Hmm.
Um, and and a good quote from, I believe it was Charlie Munger a few years ago. He used to say, "Gold's not going to make you super rich, but it's going to stop you from becoming super poor."
Yeah,
that's good
And
that's a
advice.
great
and
one.
and it's a great one because it's if the US dollar is going to start plummeting and valuing because of all this incredibly irresponsible money printing that's happening in the US, especially, gold is good because gold is, it holds its hard money. It holds its value much better than a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, so
Well,
that's
that's why
a very good
property, I think,
question.
property is good because it doesn't change much and it slowly goes up over a 10-year period, and that's why people,
Yeah,
and it's like you're saying, it's physical. So property is something for me that resonates quite well. But I
Yeah.
don't live like right now. I don't live in any of the properties I own. So it's like,
yeah,
what's the point? You know what I mean? But
yeah.
so we had some action items here. We talked about investing early, commit to a saving ratio, know your, what was it called? Um, your t-shirt one where you got to know your lifestyle creep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
lifestyle creep. Yeah,
avoid
I
lifestyle
like that
creep.
one. Be
yeah.
Mhm.
intentional with your spending. What do you mean by that, Charles? Be intentional with your spending. Identify areas that you give joy.
So we touched on that earlier. That's the analogy I use of, I don't care about food or clothes, but I do care about adventures. So just sit down, take 20 or 30 minutes, write down on a piece of paper what gives me joy, what don't I care about.
Yeah,
And this is the number one exercise I love to do with my coaching students, because after they do that exercise, they normally come back to me and say, "Oh, I've just realized that this every afternoon canapes while we're in the med season, that's costing me 120 or 150 euros. I don't enjoy that time.
yeah.
I would much rather go to the gym or much rather go to the beach or read a book. I don't need to spend money." So that's what I mean with intentionality.
Yeah, understood completely. I remember years ago when I was a younger captain. I remember I kind of, because I earned more, I used to feel a responsibility to spend on the crew a lot
Mm.
more, and I'd take them out for dinners and cocktails, and $300-$500 later, and the crew were happy. Don't get me wrong; it was one of the happiest crews I see.
I
But
want to work for you.
oh no, it was great. I was like, and my wife, and I became, obviously married and had kids, and my wife's like, not a good investment, not a sound investment strategy. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Let's keep it more inside, in the family circle.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, to be intentional with your spending is really sound advice.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
is.
Another little personal finance hack that helps me with that is what I call the 2x rule. And the 2x rule is something I do to myself. I actually just did it last week. Now that I'm unemployed, I have a lot more time. So I'm like, am I going to get back into golfing? I don't
Okay.
own golf clubs because I never had room in the boat to keep my golf clubs. Now I live in a house, I have space. So I've been looking at the set of golf clubs. I'm like, okay, instead of buying it immediately, let me apply the 2x rule. And the 2x rule works as follows: you wait at least 2 days if it's a smaller purchase. Golf clubs are a large purchase. So I waited 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, if I still feel like I want to buy it, I'm like, by all means. Then I apply the 2x rule by, yes, I buy the golf clubs, which let's say it costs $800. I buy the golf clubs, but I also 2x that amount. So I take another $800 and I invest it into the stock market, or I put it into my mortgage, or I donate to charity. And by doing that, I proved to myself that I did have the $800 to begin with, because I now spend $1,600. But I also paid future me, or I did something good for the planet or for the world. And the 2x rules has completely changed the game for impulsive purchasing for me.
Good advice. For me, my grandmother always said, sleep on it. It's just kind of similar in a ways, but the 2x I think is much better because you're doubling the investment, the cost of it. But it works all the time. My mother, every time my kids are like, Dad, can we buy that? I said, remember your grandmother? She always said, sleep on it. So then and most times because I travel so much, I'm not in that same spot the next day. So it's like, I would have loved to have bought it for you, but we're moving too much.
Yeah.
One of my aunts also, similar to the sleep on it, she had a bit of an issue with impulsive spending, and my uncle, her husband, he started freezing her credit card, like literally freezing it in the freezer in a cup of water.
Yeah.
And then she had to wait for the thing to defrost. And that whole process of the block of ice defrosting her card made her really think about, do I need to buy whatever I did? And it cut her spending by almost 50%.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap up, Captain Scott. What's your kind of take on it all for crew? What's your advice to crew that you've seen over your years that can help them kind of with their personal wealth to develop some personal health?
Well, just, my main thing is just figure out what, your overall plan is, your time and purpose again with the money that you're making. Make sure you have the buff when the job goes away, because we know that everything is transient, and there's a time limit on every job that we have on yachts and stuff. So make sure you have that, and then learn about certain things that you're interested in, companies that you're interested in, maybe Disney, like Charles mentioned, and other companies, Amazon and other stuff. So you learn about the CEO, learn about real estate. Just take the time to read as much as you can before you invest in anything. And focus on investing in yourself. Like, what skills can you increase in yourself that makes yourself more value, so you can increase your net worth by increasing your value.
Yeah, and yours, Charles, what's your kind of takeaway and all? And it's gone really quick and it's so much to take over, so you both have great courses to do, but
So money doesn't solve all your problems, but it does solve your money problems.
yeah.
And that gives you, I'm a real life example right now. It's given me, by being financially responsible during my yachting career, I now have the freedom of movement and the freedom of choice to slow down and reassess what I want to do going forward. And you are given a very unique opportunity by having all your real world expenses removed. So if you don't do anything, at the very least, just put aside the money you would have spent on normal life expenses. And I promise you, your future self will thank you.
Wonderful advice, both of you. I think for me, it's multiple income streams. I think that's one big thing, is to try and, like we talk about gold, not an income producing asset, but it still increases. But try and figure out your income streams. So when you do have a change in job, at least you have these different incomes coming in to maintain a minimum lifestyle. And that's something that's important for me. I know if I lose my job, I'll have a minimum lifestyle that I can maintain and keep my family and everyone happy for a prolonged period. But thanks everyone for listening in. I want to try and finish off with a little challenge. What's something that you both want to change? Whether it's yourself, the world, the people, the financial, what's something that we can kind of leave the audience and the crew with that help them be a bit more positive for the week and vulnerable?
Something I want to change.
So I'll go, because it's the start of the year. People set New Year's resolutions. This is naturally what comes to mind for me. My main New Year's resolution is a very attainable one, and it's a very simple one. I am going to start sleeping and spending my evenings without my phone in my bedroom.
Oh,
And that
wow.
Very
and
good.
that way I've bought an old school little alarm clock, and I just want to be fully present with my wife in the evenings. I want to wake up in the morning and not immediately doom scroll. I want to come out here, have a coffee, enjoy the views, and my phone can be tended to later.
Beautiful. Well said, Charles. Well said. You know, I'll know not to call you in the middle of the night.
Now, I, I won't pick up.
Oh, fantastic. No, it's great
Nice.
advice. Lately, the older I get, the further my phone goes away from me. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
true.
charge it in the. I definitely charge it away from my bed lately for some reason. I have that
Mhm.
silent mode on. But
Good.
Hmm.
yourself, Cap Scott?
Well, my main thing since both my girls are in college now is focus more on doing things with my wife because it's the two of us we get to do the adult reconnect time, and that's one of
Yeah,
the major things I want to do, and do more things with my girls too because they're out of the house, so make a conscious effort to do more trips together as a
absolutely.
family.
Yeah, it's always
How
about
about
those
you?
connections. For
How about
me,
you, Captain Liam?
oh, the beach. I got to clean more beaches this year, man. I love my family, my wife, and definitely more time. But I see these beaches and see what Four Oceans are doing, and all these other companies on a global scale to protect, you know, the plastics going from the rivers to the oceans. But I just keep going to these beaches around the world and going, why is there rubbish in 2025? What
Oh
is
wow.
wrong with us? Why is there plastic caps on the beaches or in the waters? And doesn't matter if you're in St. Bart's, you still see the same problem
Yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere.
everywhere. You know
Yeah,
what I
it is
mean?
awful. Yeah,
Los
it's
Angeles,
here.
San Diego, it's like they clean it up, but can we stop dropping it? You know?
Yeah, that's a big
Anyway,
undertaking.
it's a big undertaking. I like the challenge, though.
Do
I
it
like the
though.
challenge. But anyway, be safe, be blessed. Look after the crew around you. Look after yourself first. Take your own oxygen first, as they say on the planes. And I cannot thank you enough, Charles. Congratulations on a wonderful journey. I look forward to 2026 and helping you any way we can. And Captain Scott, beautiful man. Lovely to see you check in. And I hope you, your crew, your family are all great.
Yeah, could I mention one thing that I know we talked about a little bit, Captain Liam, was that my daughter is starting a Bible study for people that work on yachts and boats.
Cool.
So keep up with that, and you know, not pushing any religion on anybody, but I asked her what was one goal she wanted to do this year that I could help her with, and I asked my other daughter the same thing, and she said she wanted to start a Bible study for people that work on yachts, and so I said, okay, let's do it. So that'll be coming soon.
Yeah, and however we can help. If you send the group or if it's an Instagram handle, happy to help because I'll push faith on everyone. I think everyone needs a bit of faith because in
Yeah,
the darkest moments, that's when you look up. And
yeah,
I don't know, it doesn't matter where you look up to in a sense, but you'll be
Yeah.
looking up and you're looking up for
yeah, yeah,
help. And if you can
Yeah.
give thanks to the people you look up to, whether it's God, family, or whatever aspect you see, I think the world can be a better place if we can
yeah.
help others and have a bit of faith. So. Be blessed. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Cap. See you next
Thank you,
Tuesday
gents.
or before that.
Thanks. Thank you, man. Bye,
Great to see
guys.
you guys. Have a good week.
Ciao.
Yeah, guys.